Hi, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. I hope you're all doing well. I continue to miss you. I'd much rather be doing this lesson in the classroom with all my props, posters, and books and objects, but unfortunately, it's another week of doing it with distant learning. So I'm glad that you tuned in. I wanted to talk to you today about abstract art. I know that I probably have talked to you about this before in class, either with posters on the wall. Those are the posters that you look at and say, what is that? Or why is that so famous? Or why would that be valuable? Or maybe we've talked about different artists on the tables that are abstract artists. But abstract art does not attempt to represent the external reality, but seeks to achieve its effect just by using color or line, shape. Lines become shapes, form, that's a three-dimensional shape, or texture, and that's how something feels or appears to feel, roughness or smoothness. It really started, the main movement is in the early 1900s. And there was a period of time like between 1912 and 1925, and then again between 1940s and 1970s, that abstract art emerged. But looking back, it really started in the 19th century with Whistler and Monet, where their emphasis was on the visual sensation of things rather than depicting the exact object. So I know that I've talked to you about Monet being an impressionist artist and how he would give the impression of the water lilies in his pond, or the impression of the light and the colors and how they would kind of move and change, not necessarily drawing a hard edge drawing, a realistic drawing of a water lily, but an impression of that. So Kandinsky is the main artist that started it in the 1900s, and the artist used the color and the line and the shape, as I said, but not to show you what a real object looked like, or a real person looked like, or a real scene looked like, but they would do it to represent how they felt about it. A lot of this came out of what was going on in the 1900s, where you had the Great Depression, and you had World War I and World War II. And a lot of the artists were having a hard time realistically painting or expressing or depicting the horrors and the hardships of what was going on during that time period. And so they would represent it in an abstract way, a way of just expressing maybe their feelings, or in a way that didn't actually depict, because it was hard to depict what was actually going on. Yes, there are very many realistic paintings of what was going on in the Great Depression and during the war, absolutely. But Picasso has a famous painting where he depicted the horrors of the war, and it's you can tell what's going on in there, but it's abstract. It's not realistic people. I would imagine that a lot of abstract art could come out of what we're going through right now, because we're going through a very challenging time in our time and in our world, in our society. There's horrors of the health issues and economic issues, and how lives have just been changed and how lives are so different. And I would imagine that this would be a time when artists would express themselves in an abstract way. An abstract artist, such as Picasso or Warhol or Rothko, Jackson Pollock, they are considered abstract artists, but many of them also go into another form of or style of art. Like, we know that Picasso was known for Cubism. He's an abstract artist, but he was known for the Cubist style. Andy Warhol is a pop artist, but he's also considered an abstract artist. I think if you probably could just break it down with all the different styles of art and put them into two categories, which would be realism and abstract art. And realism is, depicting the real world. So, such as the Mona Lisa is a very realistic painting. You know that she's a woman. You know that it's a portrait. You know that she was painted the way she looked. And a photograph, of course, is the same idea. Um, but but Monet or as I said, Picasso, they did abstract where you had an image of what they wanted to represent, but it wasn't the real hard-edged picture. So today you are going to be an abstract artist. And the way I'm going to have you do that is that you are going to do a scribble drawing, okay? So I want you to get a piece of paper and a pencil and just have your hand make lines, circular, curved, wavy lines, however you want to do it. Don't look at your paper. Don't control your hand. Let it go free. But there's a couple of things you need to think about. You don't want it to be too tight and complicated. You don't want it to be too wide that it goes off your paper. You don't want it to be too simple that it's just a loop. But you don't want, again, to just have too many things going on. So it's kind of a trial and error, and you might just play around with it. But come up with a scribble drawing that you feel that you're happy with. So this is mine. So then I want you to outline it in a black Sharpie, okay, so that you have a little bit more definition of what's going on. So then I want you to take it and I want you to really look at it and turn it around and look at it from all different views and see what is in that scribble that depicts reality, but of course it's not a real thing because you've made a scribble. And I see a couple of things in my drawing. So if I look at it this way, I see a nose, and I see eyebrows, and I see, well, this could be a face. Now, the thing is with this, you can not use all the things that are in there, all the lines, and then you may want to add new things. And obviously, adding things is probably the thing you're going to be doing mostly. But there will be things that you'll just have to kind of ignore. It's not going to be a perfect picture. Of course, this is not going to be a perfect picture of a face. But I'm going to use some of the elements of my lines and make a face out of it. And so I'm going to add some lines and add some things. And I have made my face. Added a mouth, just a little depiction of a chin, added some eyes, and then added an artist beret on the top. So this became this. Okay? Now I can also turn it in this direction. And I see another face in here. I see a nose, I see an eye, I see a forehead, and I see a mouth. So I am going to add some things to this scribble, this same scribble, just a different direction, and I have come up with a face. Put on a hat, add some teeth, an eyeball, and I've created something out of that. Now I happen to find two faces in my picture. You may find animals. You may find more than one thing. You may find a wave with a surfer, or you may add the surfer because you see a wave, or you may find trees. You're going to obviously have to add things to it, but I want you to be very creative in how you look at it and how you view it and what you can make out of it. So have fun with it, of course. I always want art to be fun. I want you to learn, but I want you to have fun. I would love to see your pictures. Please, please, please send me pictures. Email me. I would love to see what you've come up with. But have a good time with it, and you are becoming an abstract artist. Okay, I hope to see you back next week. Bye-bye.